have one more thing I want to bring up, and I'll bring Phillip onto the screen. Appreciating that strong individual comment more and more the longer I do this, and the more challenges that I face along the way, because as much as people say quitting is not an option, quitting is the most readily available option at any given time, all day, every day. You can stop whenever you want, and it takes a lot more energy to keep going and persevering and being resilient and all that fun stuff. So thank you. I received that. My final thought before I bring Phillip on too is we've been talking about a lot about privilege this week. And I like talking about privilege because it is a really, really broad conversation. When we land at white privilege, we are doing disservice to the breadth of what privilege looks like. And the example I've used in the past is mobility. And the example that came out on Wednesday, right at the opening comments, if you watch my replay with talking with Chrissy King, she said it this way: we have so many situations that are happening in our world, so many negative things that are happening to humanity, specifically the brutality of police murders of black men, black women. And as we talk about those things, we feel sometimes like we need space. And I want to give space to that. So I actually sent a message to Chrissy the day before. I said, if you don't want to be on the show, that's fine. I get it. If you want to just kind of clear your head and change your message and have some space, I'll give you that space. I can do a freestyle, whatever, no pressure. And she's, thank you for allowing that and acknowledging that. I'll still show up. And then as we were talking right at the beginning, she was saying, I run my own business as an entrepreneur, so I can take the time if I want to. So my heart goes out to, she was saying, my heart goes out to those who have to go to work, who don't have a choice, who are working some 9 to 5 or just financial situations such that they have to clock in regardless of what happens in the world and no matter how they're feeling. And I continue to say, well, then that's privilege. That's an entrepreneurial privilege that I have. I can choose to not show up today. I am tired. I'm doing this conversation. I have one more person to meet with, and I cancel my online class, and I'm going home. That's my privilege running my business. So there are things that are so broad in this conversation about privilege that it's not just about white privilege or black privilege or whatever. It is about looking at what you have advantage with and whether you're going to leverage that advantage to amplify other voices, to do other things with it, to take care of yourself so you can be better for the people you're around, or if you're going to use that to keep someone else under thumb. And that was one piece of the privilege dialogue. And then I thought about another piece of that this morning. So the city of Mississauga is still under lockdown, so I'm driving half an hour to go to a coffee shop for my Friday morning time of just kind of planning my business and reflecting on the week and all that warm fuzzy stuff. So driving back from Oakville this morning, there's a long line of cars and people are turning in to get into the school, and there's a cemetery on the one side, and I saw someone putting down flowers at a grave site. I just woke up early so I can enjoy a morning to myself with my coffee and my journal and drive to work whenever I feel like it. And someone else is driving to put down flowers at the gravesite of their loved one, their husband, their grandmother, their child, whoever it is. And the first thing that came to me was breath is a privilege. Breath is a privilege. We're talking about white, black, mobility, entrepreneurship, all these different things. The fact that I have breath is a privilege. Can we start there, people? With just being grateful that we have our lives and just move from that place of our common ground as humanity without taking advantage of the other. So on that happy note, I am going to bring Phillip on, and this is my guy. We've been talking and kind of cheering each other on and just liking each other's posts for a long time. and I'll tell him the other piece to that in a second when he comes on. So I'm gonna bring him on right now.
Phillip Griffin of Scoop Pilates and Personal Training. We're in Missouri City, Texas. That's about 10 minutes outside of Houston. Um, we actually we were in business for 10 years, and because of the pandemic, we actually had to close our doors for now, at least the Pilates part. I still do some training,
Okay.
personal training, some personal training as well. I've been a personal trainer for almost 20 years,
Nice.
uh, Pilates instructor for 10. Um, so right now we had to close. Uh, so we're kind of at this weird space right now of what do we do next,
Yep.
you know? Because I still, I love teaching, and I know a lot of my clients still want me to teach, but right now this is where I need to be. So I'm just trying to figure everything out right now. I
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
do, and I have some reformers at home, so I can do privates here at the house. I haven't done a lot of online stuff. I'm still uh, kind of haven't, because my schedule's so, I don't want my schedule to be so choppy because I'm, home with the kids.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so I just trying to figure all that out, man. So, it's weird because I was telling my wife last week, um, first I identified as a personal trainer, you know,
Yes.
and I love training. That was my passion. 10 years later, I became a Pilates instructor.
Hmm.
And it seemed like I was, a Pilates instructor. I thought of myself the first couple of years, I still thought of myself as a personal trainer.
Yep.
And then, the bulk of our business was Pilates, it's Scoop Pilates and personal training.
Right.
So then I became this Pilates instructor. And, and it was, oh, Scoop Pilates, oh, Scoop Pilates. Do you know Phillip Griffin? Oh, yeah, the Pilates guy. So I was
Right.
the Pilates guy,
Right.
you know.
Yes.
But it's like now it's like I'm not the Pilates guy, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So, um, I'm just trying to figure all that out.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm a personal trainer, Pilates guy. Right now I'm a dad, husband. Even as far as this times we're in, being a man, or being a black man. Some people think of themselves, I'm a man who's black. Some people
Mhm.
think of themselves as a black man. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, uh, just trying to figure all that out, man.
Right. I'm sure within the hour we'll have those all sorted out.
Yeah,
We'll, we'll send you on your way, and life will make sense.
right.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy, eh? Like, I mean, that is really, you heard that A, you caught that Canada right in there. Um, it's crazy how there are so many things that are happening, but just as men, what you just said there, Philip, is the dialogue that I can speak for a lot of men. That's what we go through is ultimately who am I? What am I in my Pilates space? What am I in my personal training space? What am I in my business, husband, kids, in the skin? Like all of these things, we were always asking ourselves these questions. And even when we land at an answer, we're not sure if that's the right answer or if that's just today's answer.
Right, right. It's constantly changing, you know. It's like it's like I'm trying to figure it out. Like I just told you, trying to figure it all out, trying to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Without, you've been saying that for months now. Like,
Yep.
you, when do you figure it out?
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. Finish that thought, but I do have something that I've wrestled with on that too.
Well, so it's weird that this all hit, this pandemic hit when it did, because we were at our 10-year mark, right, in our business.
Okay.
And so we were at this kind of fork in the road. Which way do we go? Um, our business was past 2, 3 years. We were just kind of staying level.
Okay.
You know, I consider our business to be a success. We've never struggled.
Hmm.
We didn't get rich off of it, but we didn't struggle. We never struggled paying our rent. We were doing
Hmm.
great. We were making a name for ourselves in the community, but we weren't growing anymore.
Yes.
And at the time, we had just um, adopted we adopted 4 kids about 4 years
Wow.
ago.
Yeah.
So, and it was, but I was pretty much running the business. The way our business worked, we had small space, we had
Mhm.
5 reformers, and it was pretty much me. I was doing all the training, all the teaching. This was 6 days a week,
Yeah.
and I had some subs here and there, but for the most part, for 10 years, I'm doing everything.
Bell to bell.
It was a one man show,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So early in the morning, we're training in the evenings, Saturdays, and that was all fine when it was just me and my wife.
Right.
Okay, now we got these 4 kids,
You
and
adopted
so
4 kids?
we adopted 4 kids. We'll get to that. Right.
You can't just glaze over that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like in our 40s. Like, who does that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. And so, but so now we can have these 4 kids. I'm still working sun up to sundown,
Yep.
6 days a week.
Yep.
And so, I would have a little break during the day, come home, eat, get a little rest, go back in the evening.
Yes.
Well, my wife and I were sometimes, I mean, we're literally, she's walking in the door, I'm literally walking out.
Yes.
And she's just like, bye. I can see, like, she's like, don't leave me with these 4 kids. you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
Um, and my wife, and, she knows it. She may kill me for saying it to everybody, but, she doesn't deal with stress well.
Mhm.
And so every night it was just like, so I was getting to the point where it's like, as much as I love training and teaching, it's like, man, I just feel like I need to be home helping my wife,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the weekends, as the kids were getting a little older, okay, they're gonna start playing sports or getting into things. I can't do anything with them on Saturdays because I'm working.
Hmm.
And so all this is going on, and what are we gonna do? And my wife is stressed out. I'm working all evening. She's home by herself, and this went on for 3 or 4 years. And then uh, so we got to our 10-year mark, and she was like, "Well, we're not growing. And she wants me home.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? And then the pandemic hit, and it's like, what are we gonna, she don't want we don't want to send the kids to school,
Yes.
and so it's like, man, maybe we just need to shut it down. This is the time,
Yep.
shut it
Just
down for a
yeah. Yeah.
while, and we'll kind of figure it out, you
Figure it out.
know.
Right.
Um, and so that's kind of where we are, just and talking about identity. This is where, yes, I miss teaching all the time,
Hmm.
and I miss training as much, but this is where I need to be. One of our kids has respiratory issues,
Okay.
and like I said, my wife doesn't deal with stress very well. She, I don't want to, I don't want, and I know it. No matter what I'm going through, no matter what I'm feeling, being home all day with the kids, she feels so much better knowing our kids are taken care of.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah. Because you have a greater
so
capacity to handle that stressors, those stressors.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Hmm.
so right, and I can, I can deal with like I said, it's a lot. It's a lot, but but I can just, she'll be the first to tell you. She,
Yeah.
not just me, but I can deal with it better.
Yeah.
Now I need her help. Don't get me wrong. We're a great team, but
Yes.
as far as if one of us needs to be home all day with the kids, it's got to be me.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and so
That's still amazing. How old are the kids now, and how old were they when you adopted them? I guess I could do the math, but
well, there are 4, 5, 7, and 9. So we know,
yes.
and we didn't plan on 4. Uh, we adopted one. He was 4 days old, um,
Wow, yeah.
and we know they had siblings out there, kind of in foster care, and they kept asking us, "How about this one? How about this one?" Um, so his brother came like, you know, 2 weeks later or 2 or 3 weeks later, his
Okay.
brother.
Yeah.
Then there was 2 other siblings out there. They were getting moved around in foster care. It was like, I don't know. Can we handle 4? I don't know. I don't know. And so we
Yeah.
went back and forth you know, and they just kept getting moved around. It's like,
Oh,
we gotta take them. So,
yeah.
we got them too. And that's kind of how we got 4.
That's
Um,
incredible.
and you know, it's, it's been a blessing. They're great
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
problem you know, that we have with them is just kid stuff, you know.
Yes.
'Cause I even asked my wife, I was like, should I tell the kids? Should I tell Martin that we adopted 4 kids? Because we don't want to introduce our kids as these are our adopted kids.
I hear what you're saying.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? No,
Yes.
these are
Yeah.
our kids.
These are kids.
Um, so she's like, you should, why wouldn't you? So you're telling your story, and that's a big part of your story. So,
Yes.
it's,
Yeah, yeah, I know, and there's something to be said too, Phil, for the way that you present your story, right? Like, I mean, you place emphasis on what you want to place emphasis on in your story, and the different points that you are in your life will highlight different parts of your story.
yeah, yeah. Um, but this is a highlight.
Yeah, no doubt.
you know,
Yeah.
and but I didn't want it. But you know, adopted kids get a stigma,
Hmm.
you know, and we I don't know, we just don't want that
Yes.
for our kids. We just to us they're just our kids.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
and we're still, the 6 of us, the kids and my wife and I, we're still navigating this whole thing,
Absolutely.
um, figuring it all out. We're still, how, they're all different, so it's
Yes.
like, uh, we got an alpha, we got one who's
Yeah,
really shy and kind of a
yeah,
loner.
yeah,
We have one who's a people pleaser. We got one who's more of a follower.
yeah.
And so, I'm just, you have to, trying to figure out how to,
Man. Yeah.
raise 4 different personalities,
Yeah.
and I'm not one
Right,
to,
right.
I tell people, look, I'm always looking for advice. I'm always asking my friends. Like, I didn't get married till I was 37.
Okay.
And so, um, so everything I did was late in life. I'm the oldest of 5. I'm the oldest of 5 siblings.
Yes.
I'm the oldest of all, like my generation. I'm the oldest.
Okay.
So all my cousins, brothers,
Yes.
and almost everybody had kids before me.
Right.
Um,
So you took a lot of
and
notes.
yeah, exactly, I did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I asked my younger brothers and siblings. I'm asking them for advice.
Hmm.
What do you do when this happens? How do you handle this? I'm asking my friends. How do I'm always asking questions.
Right. Right. Right.
Um,
It's
so
interesting there too, like you were saying about asking advice, because like I've always been obsessed with obsessed is a strong word, but I think obsessed would probably be accurate from a young age with the concept of being married and of being a dad. And one day, my mom saw me reading some book that had God, and I went on to do all the stuff in in school as well. But she said this to me, I never forgot. She said, "You could read as many books as you like, but there's only certain things that you will learn within the context of being a dad or within the context of being married." And that rung so true, right? Because I mean, I could read every book on affirmation and how to address a child and how to discipline them without keep their dignity and blah blah blah. But there's certain things you only learn within that context. So when you were talking about like, the pleaser and the alpha and all these things, that excites me because I'd be like, man, it must be like just watching a movie every single day, seeing how these personalities develop and how you can like mold them and how you really have no control whatsoever at certain points. Like, I just watching,
Right,
it's this dance, right? So you're just watching everything
right.
unfold. Like, dude, that's exciting,
It's a
challenging,
dance.
but
It's
uh,
everyday dance,
yeah,
and I heard people all the time talk about you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna make mistakes, and it's like, and
well,
you
what's a
make
mistake?
mistakes, and you just like, man, you knew it was coming, you knew you're
Yes.
gonna make that mistake, but when you do it, you feel it's like you just feel so bad,
Mm,
you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and a lot of it too is your childhood. It's amazing how your childhood still can affect you. Like, I'm 51.
Mhm.
Um, my mom passed away when I was 10, and at the time, both my parents had both remarried.
Yep.
Um, so before she passed, my stepfather, he just wasn't present. He was there, but he wasn't. He didn't teach me anything or anything like that. So
Right,
when my
right.
mom passed away, we moved in with my dad and my stepmom. And once again, my dad didn't really once again he was there, but he wasn't there. He
Yes.
didn't really
Was
teach
that
me how to
that
be
that
a man.
yeah,
You
was
know
it
what I
more like
mean?
that kind of provider mindset from that generation where it's just like you have a roof over your head, that's me
Right.
teaching you how to be a man sort of thing?
He didn't teach me about women or just life and how to be a man. So I kind of
Yeah,
figured out
yeah.
on my own, and so I never really had that mentor. I was, like I said, I was the oldest,
Mhm.
and it's like I wish I had a big brother
Yeah.
because it's like I've learned everything kind of on my own,
Right, right.
and I just want to make sure I give my kids what I didn't have. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? And
Yes.
so, um, like my 7-year old, he's like the oldest boy, and you know, so sometimes my wife would tell me, so you're a little bit hard on him, and I can feel myself being harder on him only because he's the oldest, and
Yes.
it's because I don't want him to, I don't know, be like me when I was younger.
Yeah, yeah. And you know
And I
what's funny?
can't do that. I have to stop doing that. It's not
Yes,
about
yes.
me.
Right. It's interesting, because I think about that often where I have to kind of change my mindset on those things because there'll be times that I say, or I hear people say, I'm doing this because I don't want them to be like this.
Yes.
Or I have friends who say, I want to make sure that they don't be like my dad. And that's a different dialogue than saying, I want them to be like me, or
Yeah.
these characteristics or the things that you stand for now and the way that you treat your clients now and being honest and dignity and integrity and character and resolve and all these different things. So whatever it is that are your central tenets, it's almost like there's a difference between a dialogue saying, I don't want him to be like my dad, and I do want him to be like this.
Yeah.
And when we get obsessed with the not being like part, that's sometimes when we get caught up.
Yeah. 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 Um, you know, I it's like not one. It's like people say I don't want my kids to struggle, but
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing.
No, it's
Struggle. Sometimes
yeah.
you need to struggle and experience
Yes.
pain and defeat.
Hmm.
It's like the trophy generation.
Yes, the eighth place
I
medal.
I don't get it. I you know my mindset is even though I wish I had a mentor growing up,
Mhm.
but a lot of things that I did, I didn't have a mentor.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't believe this. I was um a big nerd in high school, a big nerd growing up. I was
Okay.
nerdy, I was awkward, big glasses, and I took a PE class and started lifting weights, and it changed my life.
Yeah.
And so everything I did, I lifted weights, I got cut in middle school for the basketball team, but it just made me work harder. And I
Yes.
worked and I worked and I got better each year. And, you know, I just practiced and practiced, ended up getting a scholarship to play college basketball.
Nice.
And no one would have believed that if they saw me at 15 or 16.
Yes. Yes.
But I just worked and
You had that
practiced and practiced. And
resilience.
that's my mindset of everything. If I want to be
Yes.
good at something, I know I have to work. I gotta practice. I gotta practice.
Yes.
So it's like
Yeah.
when my kids, even though they're kids, but even then when if they're playing a game and they get crushed when they lose, and I'm like, you gotta practice. You want to get
Yeah.
better at something, you gotta practice.
Yes. Yes.
So
That was a great
um,
takeaway for me too. I took this parenting class a long time ago. I'd never heard anyone talk about this before, but it was all about teaching kids poise. And I was like, never heard anyone talk about poise before, but like how to lose gracefully. To get your butt kicked in a game and then be able to just shake the person's hand and say, good game, and then walk off. And
yeah,
you can cry later, but still have that well done, sort of thing. And,
right,
but yeah, like, I mean, we build resilience in our kids when we give them those opportunities to lose safely and accept it and just go back to the drawing board, go get better. Like that's something that we as adults are learning still, right? I mean, how many times we get, we miss out on a job or we get passed over for something and we can be bitter or we can get better.
yeah, yeah. Um, but you know, that's um, just the way I've always been.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from,
I know.
because
Well,
like I
you're
said, it
you're
wasn't
wired
taught
like
to
that
me.
though. No, no, no. You're wired like that. And you'll see it in your kids. Not everyone's wired that way.
I hope
Like
so.
like those of you who are like in the comment section are like, how many of you guys have kids out there where one of them is just stubborn and you are now steering that towards determination, and then someone who just gives up at the first try, right? I mean, that's that determination, that's that resilience. Like some people are just wired with some serious resilience, and others it's a trained skill, like getting your bench press numbers up. You're gonna have to work at it.
Yeah. Well, and and one thing someone asking for parenting advice, what they told me is, you know, sometimes you try to project how your kids are gonna be when they're 15 or when they're 20 by
Yes.
how they are at 6, and you can't do that.
No, no.
And so like my son who's more of a follower, so I'm trying to get him not to be a follower,
Right.
but some people just are followers,
Right. Right.
and so uh and I was a follower growing up. I'm
Hmm.
not I don't consider myself to be a natural leader, something I can do,
Hmm.
but I'm not I'm a leader of men. I couldn't be like you know but I can do it, but it's not a natural thing for me.
Yes.
So I have to remember someone said, but maybe he's just not a leader, and that's okay. If he's gonna be a follower, just get him to follow the right people.
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
and um, you know, not let anyone steer him the wrong way,
Right. Right. Right.
you know.
That's
So
wise. There's another piece to that though. I mean, because that's true. Following the right people. The other part of it is just understanding what's his leadership style, right? Like he can be that quiet leader who, like someone said in the comment section, can lead by example. Like not everyone has to be Obama. Like you can be a leader in your way, right?
right, right, and yeah, and it made sense because that's you know that's more what I am is lead and just lead by example. I
Yeah,
just do what I do, work
yeah,
hard, have values, but I'm not, other than my physical frame, I don't stand out.
hmm,
I'm not the life of the party, but
yeah,
I can, hold my own and I can,
yeah,
whatever it is I need to do,
yeah.
I'll do, you
Right,
know.
right, right. There's
Um, I ran a successful studio for 10 years
yeah,
and I never thought I could do that, you know,
right, right.
talking about, how you are as a kid affects you, like I said, being that nerd and being that, not having that mentor, I didn't have a lot of confidence.
Hmm.
And so, and my family was always the kind of, work, 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 I never really heard be a business ownership. It was work, work, work.
Yes.
So, um, you know, I never, I just worked.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never thought I never believed or had confidence I could own my own business. I could own my own Pilates studio, personal
Crazy.
training. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
and, you know, and, you know, and my wife, she's my champion. She was just like,
Love
we can
that.
do this.
Yes.
We can do this. I was like, you sure?
Isn't it so
And
good to have a cheerleader in your corner? To have someone championing for you, man. Like just pushing you over the edge when they see your potential better than you see your potential.
yes, yes. Um, and it's still, work in progress, even at 51, it's still just
Yeah,
believing you can do this, believing you can do that,
of course. Yeah.
not, it's like I know I can do it, but it's still those thoughts creep up every now and again.
Hmm.
I don't,
Quick question
I
for
don't,
you. So, adopting kids, you're thrust right into from 0 to 4 kids, like 0 to 100 right there. What has been your greatest reflection as a dad, just being like just dropped right in the middle of fatherhood?
um, the greatest reflection that, you're not going to be perfect, you
Hmm.
just let them, the biggest thing is let them be where they are,
Yes.
you know, just let them be where they are. Don't project. I struggle with that,
Hmm.
but just let them be where they are. Yes, guide them, be a father, be a mentor, you know, be there. Um, but just let them be where they are, and that's the biggest thing I think is just being there every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still, we've had them for 4 years and, they're our kids and we all love each other. We want a big happy family, but we're still bonding.
Yeah. Of
It's
course.
still, you have different relationships with your 4 kids,
Hmm.
right? You
Yeah.
love them all. So it's still a figuring out process for them
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
and so,
There's a comment here that Danny made earlier. It says, "Yes, I hated being introduced as a stepdaughter. So when we're talking about like whether you mention that they're adopted kids or you present or introduce them as adopted, so it's the same thing. I'm in a blended family, right? So I have two kids. My wife comes to our marriage with two kids. So now I've inherited two children now, right? So now we're a table of six all of a sudden.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing, right? So it's that dialogue of saying I catch myself here on these conversations. I'll say I have four kids, and someone's like, "Whoa, four kids!" I'm like, "Well, actually, I have two kids and two step kids, and my wife's kids, and then they were married, and it's a blended family." I go into this big long explanation of where I'm
Right.
at. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like I'm doing a Kevin Hart dialogue on my bank accounts, like like it's like the reality is that this is it. Like there's four kids. I have four kids. Full stop.
Right. And people, it's funny because we adopted four kids, and people just like, that's so, we always get, that's so wonderful. You guys are so great. You guys are so great for doing this, and God will bless you, and da, da, da. But you know, we were just, there were times we were like, man, did we do the right thing? This is a lot,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
I mean, this is like, oh man, and so it wasn't just like we're these great people and yeah, four kids, yeah, we'll take them, come on. No, it was like,
you sure?
you sure? Yeah, you
Yeah,
know? Um, so we always kind of, feel a little guilty when people say how great we are because it's like it's because we have those thoughts like, did we
yeah.
do the right thing?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
it's a lot, but I mean, we know we did, and
Of
like I
course.
said, we're blessed to have them, and um, but it wasn't just like it was just this easy decision, or even after,
Yeah.
even after we adopted them, it was still was like, man, we look
Hmm.
at each other sometimes, we're just like, we got four kids.
Yeah. Do you
You
go back to like that was your idea? Like no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
No, that's amazing. As much as I want to talk like business and your and how you found flies and stuff, this piece is so fascinating, and not just because it's like that warm fuzzy adoption story, as much as like as men we have all these feelings like what is our mission, what is our calling, and this is your mission right now, like raising these children to be adults, to adult well, as much as running a business, being a Pilates instructor, a PT, like this is like your operation right now.
yeah, and but it's like I feel the pressure of, okay, this is what I'm doing right now. This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And
Yeah.
so it's like, but being their dad and trying to raise good people, it's like, okay, don't mess it up.
Yeah, of course.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's like those talk about those mistakes when you make a mistake. It's like, man, I don't want to screw up my kid. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes, the best parents can still their child can still mess up. That's
Well, of
sometimes it's
course.
just,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
it's like I
so
don't
so
go
so,
ahead.
but, so yeah, but real talk. I mean, you play basketball. You have to make two free throws. What are the thoughts going through your head? Are you saying don't miss this or make these shots?
There goes that confidence thing again. So
Right?
most of the time, you know, if I'm feeling good, if I'm having a good game, I was like, make these two shots. But
Yes.
when you're struggling, it's like, don't miss it.
Right. That
You
is
know?
parenting in a nutshell right there, everybody. Yes.
Yeah. Some days it's like, man, we're doing, sometimes my wife and I, because we don't have, most of our families are in other cities. My wife's from New Orleans, her parents from New Orleans. Most of my family is in Omaha and Kansas City. We have a little family here, but they're working full time and they got kids. So it was really, a lot of it was just me and my wife. And there are times when we look at each other and like we give each other a pound, like we doing this, we doing a good job.
Yeah.
And there are some days we're like, I'm struggling. I'm struggling today. you
Yes.
know?
Yeah. That's real
It's-
talk, man. That's like, that's That's real
So
talk.
don't screw it up. That's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
And but like I said, just being there and you know, I don't know. Um, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to get to a couple of these comments because, man, can you believe it's like 54? Like there is like 6 minutes left.
Wow, yeah, that flies by.
Flew by. Yeah, so interesting. Encourage them to. Yeah, someone's saying about encourage them to be like us. Like that's a challenge, right? Because we know our shortcomings too. But still encouraging them. When I say be like us, I mean the things that we're still subscribing to, trying to be like, right? Obviously. Um, yeah, Danny's saying like you're setting an incredible example, and that's a huge part. Like the way we live it out is so true.
Yeah, even like with, with with fitness.
Yep.
So my kids, they see me exercise all the time, so they want to get down and do push-ups with me. Um, so just setting that example of living a healthy lifestyle,
Yes.
that's like I said, I never had that. I never saw people um,
Take care of themselves like that.
working out and so, but I know that's what I want to do because it helped me feel better about my life,
Yes.
it gave me confidence, you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
and so, uh, like I said, so the kids are always watching. They're always watching what you do,
Yes.
and
So I say, man,
they pick
that's
up those dumbbells and those 2 pound dumbbells, and they're like, "Daddy, look, Daddy, look,"
yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. There's
um,
there was one question in the comment section there, and I always like to drop this saying because it's the one I live by with my kids. With parenting, there's a lot more things that are caught than taught,
mm, yes,
right?
yes,
So you could tell them eat your vegetables, be healthy, or they could see daddy like throwing down a workout a couple times a week, and be like, okay, this is what we do, as
right,
opposed to like so that's one of the things I really try and be conscious of all the time.
yeah.
The quick question that someone had is how did you find Pilates?
Well, um, it's funny uh, talking about that in use. Well, let me say I actually hurt my back. I was a personal trainer at Lifetime Fitness,
Yes.
and I you know I hurt my back. Actually ended up having back surgery.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, a lot of it was just wear and tear and getting older and just lifting heavy weights. And so during the recovery process, after I had my surgery and I was able to work out again, there was an instructor at Lifetime. Uh, he was teaching Pilates. He said, "Why don't you come try one of my classes?" And so, I really didn't know what Pilates was or anything. And so I took a class and I liked it and it was challenging and
Mhm.
went back, just kept going back and just, just kind of fell in love with it. And uh, the, it was the challenge of it
Yes.
and, just what it did for me and
Hmm.
ended up getting certified. So I was teaching there at Lifetime
Amazing.
Fitness and it's kind of went from there.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Man, we need
And it's funny
a
because
round two.
I'm sorry, real
Yeah.
quick, it's funny
Yeah.
story. It's funny, uh, 'cause I'm not, it took me a while to get on social media,
Mhm.
I kind of went kicking and screaming, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
just not a social media guy. I'm just not. And people are like, no, you got to get on, you help your business, you got to get on. And plus you'll stand out. You're a black guy, you're good looking, it's not a black guy Pilates instructor. So okay, so I get on social media, I get on Instagram. I'm looking for Pilates instructor, and then I see you. I was like, black guy, bald
Right.
head,
Right.
goatee.
Yeah.
Used to work at Lifetime Fitness. Wait a
Yep.
minute.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Yep. It's
then
like
there was
light.
Kevin at Pilates Pilates, well,
Well, yeah.
same thing. Black guy, bald head, used to work at Lifetime Fitness. I was like, wait a minute.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yeah,
So
man.
yeah,
Yeah. So we're out here. There you go. So
we're out here. Yeah.
we're out here. Man, we're gonna get cut off in like a minute and a half. So I just want to say before we're gone, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate the conversation. Cheering for you, man, and just be on every level, just as a business owner, as a dad, as a husband, as just a Pilates guy, a PT guy, still a slash, like everything. Just keep it going, man.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Um, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Keep doing what you do. I can't always see your interviews live, but I always try to go back and listen to them, man. So it's a great thing you're doing.
all right, man.
Um,
We'll have you back on
Hopefully you have me
for.
again. We can talk
Oh, no
about
doubt.
some deeper stuff. I like to,
Yes.
we didn't we got to a lot of family life, but there's some deep stuff going on right now. I
Yep.
wouldn't mind
Yeah, yeah.
touching on. So
All right, I'll reach out to you. We'll make that happen sooner than later.
sounds good, man.
All right, I'll sign you off. Thank you, sir.
All right, have a good one.